Welcome. It's really fun to be here, and I feel real honored to be able to share a few thoughts with you. When asked to do this and told we have 10 minutes, we go, oh my gosh, I can't even introduce myself in 10 minutes. What am I going to say? So I adopted something that I saw Ted do at a presentation at another conference, and he did his top 10 research findings or something of that nature. And I said, well, good, top 10. I'll just say, choose 10 things from something I know and share those with you. So that's the format. I want to clarify, however, where these came from. I'm the director of the Center for Advanced Technology and Education. And as in that role, we have had, over the years, a large number of federally funded projects, some of which have worked with schools to increase their adoption of technology. Most of them have focused on literacy in one way or another, but we've often served in the role of professional development, evaluation, technical assistance, things of that nature. So we've done a variety of things with these schools. My observations come from having worked with schools in a lot of different capacities, all right? And kind of drawing some conclusions about what seemed to work well. So the first recommendation is that when using technology to improve schools, that one of the things that seems to work best is if we envision ubiquitous computing. What that means is that we envision the time when computing technologies will be everywhere, integrated into everything, used for every purpose. Now, that doesn't mean that everything has to be done with technology. It just means that in the not too distant future, certainly in the time that I'm still going to be working with schools, technology is everywhere, going to be everywhere if it isn't already everywhere. So we need to keep that vision in our head. It may not be reality yet, but it needs to be the vision of where we're going. The second is ensure the inclusion of all students. We've worked with a lot of different schools at a lot of different levels, and sometimes there's a fair amount of discrimination against who gets involved and gets access to the technology. And it isn't always the kind of discrimination you might think. Sometimes it boils down to, well, it's not for the special ed kids, right? Or we don't have to worry about the gifted kids because they already can do everything. Another form of discrimination that we don't often think about is that which happens because some teachers are adopters and some teachers are not adopters. And so some students get access to technology and learn to use it for their learning, and some don't, and it's entirely dependent not on them, not on their parents, but on their teachers' willingness. So as administrators, I advise you, if you're thinking about increasing towards utilizing technology to improve schools, to improve teaching and learning, ensure that all students are going to be included. Thirdly is to adopt evidence-based strategies. There's a lot of bells and whistles out there. There's a lot of people telling you about what technology could or should do for your schools. I heartily recommend looking at the evidence behind what's being recommended. Try to adopt those kinds of things that have research behind it that recommends and can guide you in what kinds of impact this is going to have on your teachers and on your students and on your families. That research is growing. We know more now than we've ever known before. It may not be conclusive, but it's certainly suggestive. And using this research can help you put your energies and your money in places that make a difference. Number 4, look to the future for inspiration. What does that mean? What that means is that we have to ask ourselves, why are we integrating technology, and what ways are our students going to be using technologies in their lives? Our students are growing up with technology. As in the picture with the 3 little kids in the laptops, I love that, you know. It's like they don't know a time when technology was not integrated into their lives. They are going to be using technologies as students and as workers throughout their lives. And we do not know what that means. We do not know what they're going to need to do. We have really almost no clue, okay? But we need to try to envision the future and encourage and empower our students to do as much as possible, aim towards that future, right? That means not just, electronic workbooks or something like that. What What's exciting? Where does technology really have some value added? So I love the little picture of the boy with a proscope there. You know, he's collecting some data from this plant. And this is what students and workers are going to be doing in the future. They're using the technologies integrated into how they learn and how they work. And they can start doing that at the kindergarten level. This is a particular recommendation that is particularly close to my heart. My area of emphasis is on literacy. I think that if we can improve the literacy of our students, we will have done them an enormous favor. I'm preaching to the choir here. This conference is about technology and literacy. So I'm not telling you anything new. But I think a good place to start, and when schools start with integrating technologies into literacy, they have a bigger bang for the buck, so to speak. Literacy goes across all subject areas. So if you can use the technologies for reading and you can use the technologies for writing, it's going to have an impact on everything that you do and everything that you learn. So I think it's the place to start. Schools that I've seen start there, they have an easier chance at the integration, and also an easier chance at really getting all teachers to collaborate on that, because all teachers can buy into the use of technologies for reading and writing. Obviously, the next step then is work towards inclusion across all subject areas. It isn't enough to say, well, they learn technology in the technology class, or they learn technology in the science class. Technologies are tools for learning, and we need to help students, help teachers integrate those across all subject areas. Our students need to get a consistent message from us as teachers. That message is that the technologies are tools for work. We're students, our work is learning. Okay? Technologies are tools for work. We do that. We're not playing when we use technology. That's not what we do. And I would encourage you to eliminate that word from your vocabulary when you talk about technologies in schools. It should never be, when you finish your work, you can go play on the computer. That communicates that the computer is for playing, it's not for work. What we need is to communicate the technology, and it doesn't have to mean that it can't be fun, mind you, but that the technologies are there to support the teaching learning process. And we communicate that if we have a consistent message that it supports all of our content areas. Plan for articulation across the grades. This is related to the previous slide. We need to have some consistency. There needs to be some consistency in the way teachers use technology across the grades. You've seen it maybe at your own schools, you've certainly seen it at other schools, I've seen it at most schools, and that is that Teacher A gets excited about this, so that's what technology means in Teacher A's class, and Teacher B gets excited about technology, and that's what technology means in Teacher B's class, and there's no articulation about that. There's no effort to build on skills. There's no even communication. So there's very different messages given to students. We need to think about, so how can we really develop our students' skills, our technology skills, as they move across the grade levels? How can we help them get a consistent message about where this fits into their lives? Number 8, look for ways to increase collaboration. You know, the work world of the future is a collaborative work world. It is today too, but it's going to be even more so. And our students need to learn how to not only work together, but use technologies to support working together. So the more we can integrate ways to collaborate, the more we will help them, prepare them for the future. And along that line, often those collaborations are going to be with people who do not go to school in your same school, do not live in your same town, do not speak the same language, and maybe 3 or 4 or 5,000 miles away from you, did not grow up in the same culture. So encourage also forms of collaboration that bridge those kinds of cultural gaps and geographic distances. Number 9, the schools I've seen that have most successful in integrating technologies recognize that it isn't the hardware, it isn't the software, it's the professional development. That's one of the reasons I love this conference, because this is all about professional development. It's about helping teachers do the kinds of things they want to do with technologies to support teaching and learning. We need to recognize that change will not come until teachers are comfortable with the technologies, and they're not just with knowing which buttons to push, but how to integrate that into the curriculum, how to teach the students how to use these. They need support, they need professional development in order to do that. That is way more important than the money spent on hardware, way more important than the money spent on software. And I imagine somebody's figured out what the rubric is about how much more, many more dollars are supposed to be spent on professional development than hardware and software. I don't know what it is, but I bet there is one. 30%. 30%, great. So, provide professional development. And then provide some more of that. And the next one. And then some more of that, right? Professional development. Key thing to keep in mind. And lastly, recognize when you've accomplished some things and really celebrate those successes, because it is a long road. Integrating technology, making differences in schools with technology does not happen quickly. It's a long process. So you need to recognize successes all along the way and celebrate those successes. Okay. Thank you.